I can hear you.
You can hear me now? Okay. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Tiffany. I know we've talked on the phone already, but
Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel and I talk about crime and just all important things. And yeah, so that's what brought us together. um, I want to know about you and, how you know Joe and just all the basics starting off.
Okay. How I got involved with Joe. I'll start there.
Yes.
So I watched Tiger King. So it's not. I didn't know him before that,
Mm-hmm.
and it really bothered me when it got to the end because I thought he was innocent. So I sent him a letter, and he wrote me back, and I sent him another, and we corresponded for about 4 letters, and he was in solitary at the time, so it took a long time to
Wow.
get the letter back and forth, like a month. So that was like in April of 2020, and so after my 4th letter, which was like August 2020, he started emailing me. So then I started doing other things for him to help him out, and I started a fan group, which I still have on Facebook, and then when he didn't get pardoned, he wanted to have a website, an online store, to keep his name alive. So
Mm-hmm.
he asked me if I would run that. So I said, yeah. So then I started the store, which kind of morphed into his official website. Um, so then last fall, when he fired his couple of his attorneys, he got rid of his attorneys and his power of attorney. And he asked me to be his power of attorney. So
Wow.
that was December 1st that started.
That's awesome. How did you feel when he asked you that?
He actually didn't ask me, told me.
Really?
So it's like, I'm sending you the papers. I'm
You're like,
like,
okay, well,
okay.
he probably was like, okay, well, that's that.
Joe doesn't really ask, he just tells.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
like
he knew I
me.
would do it.
Yeah, that's like me. Like I started watching the show, and I remember it got huge, in the pandemic, and I was like, I never watched that. Like I don't have no interest in that. But I got hooked. Like I started watching it, and I couldn't stop.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. And that's like me. I was
Yeah,
like, there's
my
no
daughter
way.
talked me into watching.
Yeah, I was like, he's innocent. Like, there's no way. That's how I felt about it too. Um, but I know somebody that wrote to him, so I was like, I want to write to him too. And I checked the mail one day,
Yeah,
and I got a letter, and I was like, what? Like, it was the last thing I was expecting to get a letter. And then I got, I did my video of him, and then Curtis commented on my video, and he gave me so much more information, and I just can't believe the conditions he's been through, and it's really sad, and his health, and it's awful. I can't imagine how he feels in there. And you said he was in solitary for a while. That's
yeah.
terrible.
I mean, the whole time since he was arrested, so he's been in it 4 years. He's probably been in solitary for 2 years of that,
Oh
at least.
wow,
I mean, months and months at a time. And some
wow!
of
I
the
didn't know
time
that.
wasn't really for anything that he did.
Hmm.
Like, part of it was COVID,
Yeah,
and then part of it was, every time they move them, they quarantine them, so they have to be, alone in a room for 2 weeks. So, every time they move him, then he has to go through that, which is why he doesn't want to go to his appeal next month.
yeah,
Because he said, I don't want to go. I mean, I don't think he's allowed to go anyway, but he said, I don't want to go because if I go, that means I've got to quarantine when I get back. And I don't want
yeah.
to do
He's
that.
totally by himself. Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Does he think that he'll get out anytime soon?
I mean, only if he gets pardoned. I mean, and that's kind of a long shot. I mean, it's possible, but the legal process is slow. So I do think that he'll get out. He'll either get, they're doing 2 things now. There's a motion for a new trial that's pending. We're still waiting for an answer on that to see if they grant a new trial.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the appeal. So they're appealing his sentence. So there are 2 different things going on. So they're trying everything they can. And I do think eventually that he'll either get a new trial or he'll get less time, or I do think he'll get out, but it's just a matter of, an appeal takes years because they give the judge so much time to come up with an answer. Like even next month, they have oral arguments, but then the judge has months to decide. And then after that, then they have to set a court date and they have to get it on the docket, and that could be months out from there. So it's just, every step just takes so long. And I mean,
especially with COVID, they still put that on there.
About it. Mm-hmm. Even if all this works, it's still not a fast process at all.
Yeah, that's so true, unfortunately. What does he have, like, proof that, well, I saw that Jeff, something about him actually wanting to put a hit out on Joe. I saw that, and I didn't even know about that. I just had heard, he was wanting to put a hit on Carol, and I didn't realize that they had did that to him.
Well, they talk about that in Tiger King too a little bit. That Alan had a plan, actually, Alan Glover, that supposed hitman, but wasn't really a hitman, but he and Joe didn't get along, and he couldn't stand Joe, and Joe couldn't stand him, which is why it's so ridiculous that he would hire him, because he wouldn't. But he had a plan to kill Joe at the park. They were going to string some wire across the path where he drove his four-wheeler. Mm-hmm. And he'd drive along there really fast every day, and they were going to string this wire like where it would just cut his head off.
Oh my gosh.
And he asked Jeff Lowe if that was, if he approved of that plan, and he said, yeah, that's fine. We can get rid of him that way. So they want to get rid of him. Yeah,
I saw Curtis had sent me a video of Alan, of him talking about him lying in court or something, and it coming out now that they had wanted to kill Joe, and I was like, wow. And then he's sitting in prison for, maybe innocent, and it's just, it's crazy.
And he's admitted, in the affidavit that he never intended to kill Carol.
Yeah.
That was never even a thing. That's not even why they gave him the money. Mm-hmm. They just cooked that up later to fit what the feds wanted them to say. And
to like the narrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So like, where you're his power of attorney, what are you responsible for? Like, do you have to send him certain things? Does he like stuff like that? What does that consist of?
So what do I have to do, you mean?
Yeah, like what is the power of attorney role for you? Like with Joe?
I mean, you can customize a power of attorney to make it, whatever it is you want. And his is like that. It's just a form for North Carolina power of attorney, but then he's filled out and written parts in it that he wants. So it's kind of customized. So basically, I'm in charge of all his finances, all his business, business stuff. He also has a living will, so I'm in charge of that. So he doesn't want to ever be on a ventilator or feeding tube. He has a do not resuscitate order, so I have to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
If something happens to him, so that's kind of a huge responsibility.
Yeah, you never know. Like, I know a lot of power of attorneys. Some, like you said, it's a lot of like customization. Is he still going through treatments and things like that with his health?
I'm sorry, what?
Is he still going through like a chemo and things like that with his health and everything?
Well, he didn't have chemo; he had radiation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Curtis, he had chemo.
I think 42 or 45 radiation treatments, but that's a lot.
Oh, wow.
And, when he got about halfway through, it wasn't too bad. Mm-hmm. And I think he was thinking, oh, this isn't too bad. But it has an effect over time. Yeah. So by the time he got to the end, it was bad. And even after all, because it burns his body. Mm-hmm. So he had like burns and blisters all over, the middle of his body. Mm-hmm. So it was real painful and uncomfortable, and also, I mean, I think it took a toll on him as far as he has an immune disorder. He has a congenital immune disorder. Mm-hmm. So normally he gets infusions every 4 weeks, but I think, since he finished the radiation, I think it weakened him even more. So he's pretty sick right now because I think he needs more treatments, and he doesn't get good medical care there at all.
I'm sure, and especially them wanting to like isolate for 2 weeks, like, and then his conditions, like, that's, I can imagine how he feels, when they want him to do that. That's awful.
Yeah, I mean, right now he has a bad tooth, which he's been suffering for a while with that, and it takes forever for him to get to the dentist. And like
Wow.
last Friday, he finally got a dentist appointment. He was like so happy. I'm going to get my tooth pulled.
Yeah.
Because that's all they do. They don't fix them. They just pull them.
Just pull it. Yeah.
But when you're in that much pain, you don't care.
Yeah, you want it out.
Yeah. They canceled on him after he was waiting for over an hour because the computers were down.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't get it pulled. So, I mean, that
I bet he
alone
was
just
miserable.
makes him miserable.
Yeah.
And then he's like throwing up every day, and he's been doing that for over 3 months.
Wow.
They don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, I think it's partly his disease, but now they think it might be his gallbladder. So he's getting an ultrasound this week.
Wow.
Like throwing up blood and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, he's just kind of a mess right now.
How often do you guys get to communicate? Like, does he get to email
Every
you?
day.
That's good. What is he?
Pretty much.
What does he want the world to know? Like, does he want to prove his innocence? How does he want people to perceive him?
Well, I think his innocence has already been proven by all the evidence his attorney has, and all the witnesses that recanted their statements. So, I mean, that proof is already there. I think he wants the people that did him wrong brought to justice. And by that, I don't mean just Jeff Lowe and James Garrettson and them, Alan Glover and them. I mean the U.S. attorneys and the judge. And, and Carol Baskin was behind all of it, too. So, I think all those people are just walking around free, and he's in prison, and they lied and did all this stuff to set him up. So I think that really bothers him because it's so unfair.
It is, yeah, and the fact that it was proven that they took back their statements, like what kind of, how are they going to get in trouble now? What kind of, I don't understand why he's the one that is suffering and going through this whenever, like you said, they're just walking around and nothing wrong.
Yeah, and since he's been in prison, his eyes have really been opened about the prison system, too. And that's another thing that he wants to advocate for prison reform, just because the conditions are worse than most people realize. And especially with, all the attention that Brittany Griner's been getting, being in Russia in prison. And people saying, oh, the prisons are so bad and it's so horrible what happened to Brittany. Ours are just as bad.
Exactly, yep.
If not worse.
Yep.
And, people need to know that, and they need to do something about it. President Biden needs to do something about it.
Yeah. Have they been treating him any different since his, with his health or anything? Or are they just kind of the same as they were before?
I mean, what do you mean? Like the same?
Are they, the same? That's awful. And like you said, they're wanting Brittany Griner for free and all this. They don't understand how bad it is here too. That is so true.
Right. That's what he really wants people to know, because it's hard for him to watch that stuff on TV,
Yeah.
When they're innocent and sick and nothing is being done about it. And it's everything just, takes so long to get anything done. And all these people are, what you talk about Brittany Griner, like that's the most horrible thing going on in the world. It's not.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad things in the world for sure.
And there's a lot of innocent people in prison. And a lot of people die in prison because they don't get proper medical care. I mean, it's not just him. That's those prisons are not even inspected regularly.
Oh, I'm sure. And like you said, him getting
and the president and the vice president both campaigned on that. On criminal justice and prison reform. He hasn't done anything about it. He just did something for student loans, but he hasn't done anything for prisoners yet.
That's
so we're
true.
still waiting. We're still waiting.
Look how many prisoners there are. Yeah. I mean,
I'm calling him out. We're still waiting.
Has he reached out to Biden? Has Joe tried to write him or anything?
I mean, how can you do that? I mean, how do you contact the president?
Yeah, in my letter, he said that he wanted me to write to president for him.
Right. and that's what he's asking all the fans to do. I mean, but we don't know if he sees those letters. I mean, we might have, but
yeah, you never know who gets those and might like just toss them to the side.
I think just having a lot of people follow him and talk about his innocence on social media does a lot. You know, so he's just trying to get the word out there so that more people will follow him and more people will contact the White House. More people will be talking about it. Because the more people that talk about it, then eventually, you know, he might hear it.
That is so true. And like you said, him getting an appointment for his tooth, I feel like with prison, everything's just put on the back burner, no matter what conditions they're in. And changing that would just open up a lot of eyes. I don't think a lot of people understand how bad it is.
Well, you know, something he likes to say all the time is that he couldn't treat a monkey in the zoo the way that they treat the prisoners. Because they have to have so much space. They cannot be in isolation. They have to be socialized. They have to have enrichment. And the DA enforces that. So he always says, well, I couldn't treat a chimp the way that they treat human beings in prison. And it shouldn't be that way.
No, they really treat them like animals. And it's sad.
They should, for one thing, they should do away with solitary. They shouldn't even have it ever.
Yeah, especially if you're in the kind of health that Joe's in, that's making it 10 times worse. And it probably makes them go crazy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And humans are social animals, you know, just like chimps are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's torture, really. It is. And mental torture for people to just be left alone for months at a time in a little room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
And it's unfortunate because, you know, you don't really understand that till you go through it. Like these people, these correction officers, that's just their job. You know, they don't understand how it's making them feel.
Right.
Yeah, it's just another day to them.
Well, I think a lot of them are on a power trip.
Yeah, for sure.
And from what I've heard, from what Joe said, a lot of times it's the staff that are discriminate.
Really?
Or homophobic.
Wow.
Yeah, he said staff, you know, guards that are tried to sexually assault him.
No way.
Write him up for things he didn't do because he's gay, stuff like that.
That is awful. And you know, I think sometimes, like, say they go for a job interview, they're going to make it seem like they're the best correction officer. They're going to be on these prisoners. Oh, but then when they get hired behind the closed doors, they don't see how they treat these people. I mean, they're people too. You know, they're in there for a crime, but that doesn't mean you can just treat them like he's being treated.
Well, you know, I think the mindset in this country, for some reason, why we have so many people in prison. But I think people have this mindset that, oh, if you're in prison, then you did something wrong. You're a criminal and you deserve to be treated bad.
Yep.
So until we can change that mindset, I don't think other countries so much have that mindset. So, you know, I mean, they should be treated like human beings. And they should, you know, prisoners should be treated more like rehabilitated rather than punished. And our prisons emphasize the punishment too much.
Yes, I agree.
So when they actually get out, they're actually worse than they were when they went in a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, they learn how to be a criminal in prison because that's how they treat them.
Yep. Curtis told me that Joe's no longer with his new husband that he had. So I thought that was sad because, you know, he probably feels so lonely in there.
Well, he isn't divorced yet from Dylan.
Oh, so he's in the process. Gotcha.
He's still going through a divorce. It's just taking a long time because it's just messy. Yeah. But I mean, they've been apart for over a year. But he had a new guy that he got engaged to, that he met in prison. I think that's who you mean?
Yes.
His name was John.
Yeah, that was him.
And he got released, and he met a woman, and so they broke up.
Oh my gosh! So that did a whole 180 change. Wow.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Guys in prison, it's hard to tell sometimes.
I know, right? They'll do whatever while they're in there, probably. Then they go to their regular lives.
It's totally different once they're free. Yeah.
That's true. They totally forget.
Oh, he met a woman, and so they split up.
Yeah.
But before that, he was with Seth, and that's who he's with now.
Okay.
So he met him when we had the Bachelor King contest online last summer.
Okay.
That was actually the 4th of July. And a lot of men submitted their profiles, their photos.
Like a
to
dating,
date
like a dating.
Because that was
app.
right after he and Dylan split.
Okay.
And Dylan had this new boyfriend. He's like, I got to get me a boyfriend. So
Oh my gosh.
we had this contest. And it was just kind of for fun. You know,
I bet that was cool. Yeah.
But then he ended up, and I saw Seth's picture. He sent his picture in, and as soon as I saw it, I thought, I think Joe's gonna really like this guy. So, and I run the website, so I got all the pictures, and so I sent it. So I sent him the picture, and he said, "Don't put him in the contest. I'm gonna call him." So he's, right away started kind of a long distance relationship with Seth. But then he met John while he was in prison after that. Well, he had met him, but they didn't have anything going on at the time. They knew each other. They were at the same prison. So then after he had met Seth and they were kind of started this thing, then he and John started having, feelings for him. So he was,
he was like torn.
I mean, the thing with John is he was right there with him.
Yeah,
that was different. It wasn't long distance.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So he thought, well, maybe he thought that was the real thing.
Yeah.
So, so he took up with him for a while, but that ended up not being the real thing. So he got released, and then he moved on. So then he went back to Seth after that. He took him back.
Oh my gosh.
And he's with him now, and they're engaged. So.
Well, good. I hope he's happy.
He is happy. I mean, he just wants to be with him. Like, it's long distance, just by phone.
Wants to physically be. Yeah. That's got to be hard. I hope he gets justice soon and against everybody. Not just the couple people like you mentioned. He needs justice from everybody that's been involved.
He just wants to live a normal life.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wants to get out and get married and be with his husband, and he also will have a 3-year-old stepson.
Oh wow!
Because Seth has a little boy.
Oh, that's great.
He's looking forward to just being a family and settling down and just being normal.
Yeah,
but I
just
don't know how
minding his business, not hurting anybody. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, he's Joe Exotic, so I don't know if he's going to be like the average Joe, but he just wants to have a little bit of normalcy.
He'll still be sassy and and be himself. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you talking to me. I was just wanting to get to know more about you and his situation and things like that, and might be in contact with you again. It was good to talk to you. I appreciate your time.
Well, one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say the website. So Joe's official website is Joe Exotic USA. So it's easy to remember. .com, and everything you would ever want is on that website. All his social media links, the actual motion for his retrial, the legal stuff is on there. We have a store with merchandise. All the latest news is on the news page. So there's just tons of stuff on there. Okay. So that's where people can go if they want to know anything.
Okay. I'll put that in my description too so people can go check it out.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.